All right, we are live once again. I am just getting everything set up for the stream moment. I'm going to be jumping over to the game layout in just a minute. It's going to be a little bit different today compared to the other gaming streams I've done. What we'll do is we'll jump over to the gaming stream layout, and I'm going to explain what we're doing here, and we'll go ahead and get started. I wonder if the background music stopped looping. All right, as we sort of get started and folks start filing in, I'll give a little bit of an overview about what we're doing here today, and then maybe I'll just jump into the main menu so it's not dead silent. So as you can tell from the title screen here, on this particular stream, I'm going to be taking a look at the recent fighting game that just came out officially a couple weeks ago, I think it was. This is Guilty Gear Strive. And while it's connecting with the server, I will sort of let everything get spun up here. So a little bit of background on Guilty Gear. I have been a fan of the Guilty Gear series for a really long time. I first played Guilty Gear back in, I'd say the mid-2000s. And the main game in the series that I played was Guilty Gear XX. And Guilty Gear XX, I played on the PlayStation 2 first. And that particular game had a whole bunch of iterations and sort of updates and expansions to it. There was probably like 6 different iterations of Guilty Gear XX. The last one I played in the series was Guilty Gear XX Accent Core. And I think I played that on the Wii. I played it on a couple different systems. And overall, I really liked the style of the game and the music and everything else. Arc System Works, who makes Guilty Gear, and they make BlazBlue and BlazBlue Cross Battle and Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I think they also worked on Granblue Versus. ArcSys is one of my favorite developers, and fighting game wise, I think they're probably my favorite fighting game developer, period. They do really good work. But the last iteration of Guilty Gear on previous gen consoles was Xrd. And I didn't get a chance to play Xrd because I didn't have a console that the game was released on at the time. And then as the iterations of it came out, I sort of didn't really have time to get into the game at all. And by the time it came out on Steam, I had moved on to other things. And at some point I had heard that they were going to be doing the next one. I started following the development for Strive. And so rather than try and catch up, I figured I would just jump into Strive completely cold and learn the game from the ground up. Let's see, still not getting music. Let me see if I can fix that in training here. If not, I might have to restart. I had it turned off because I didn't want it to be blaring as soon as we loaded up. Still No background music in here. That's weird. Yeah, it's not loading the background music for some reason. I wonder why. I might actually have to restart the game. That's weird. Let me jump back to the loading screen. And I will make sure the game's working. I'm going to keep it on the loading screen for a minute, and then once I'm sure it's working, I will jump back. Oh, hey, what's up, Edward? I'm trying to get the game set up for the stream here, and for some reason the game didn't load the music when I turned it back on. So let me try and restart the game real quick. Actually, I wonder if I can do that without changing scenes here. Oh, I forgot there's an English dub for this. I'll keep it in Japanese for now.
Guilty Gear Strive.
Let's see. I'm going to restart the game real quick, but I'll leave the scene here. But yeah, like I mentioned, I've been watching the development for Strive for a while, but I don't know really much at all about what they've changed in this particular game with the combat mechanics. I know a bit about the roster since I recognize some of the characters from back in the day. But other than that, I am going in cold, so the point of these next couple streams will be to try and get my feet wet learning the game and figure out the mechanics, figure out a character that I want to main, and then start learning how to play the game proper. Then maybe at some point, once I feel like I'm got a handle on what I'm doing, I'll try going online and fighting against people, and then you guys can watch me get absolutely murdered in real time. Since people have been playing this game for a bit, since as of right now, it's been through a couple iterations of beta for testing and whatnot on consoles, and I didn't get a chance to play the beta because, again, I'm playing on PC. So a good portion of the fighting game community has had a pretty noticeable head start since this game's been in development and been in beta for a greater part of a year, I want to say. But we shall see. I wish there was a way to start this in offline mode so I didn't have to wait for it to communicate with the server. But I'm still not getting any music. I don't think this particular loading screen has background music, but if it starts all the way up with no music in-game, that's going to be annoying. Probably for the sake of the stream today, might be able to just go through, since I'm going to be doing training mode for the majority of my time here today, if not all of it. If for some reason the music doesn't come back, then that might not be a big deal just for today. But I'm going to try and figure it out if it doesn't come back. Since... Okay, there we go. It sounds like it loaded. Could the folks on stream let me know how the sound balance is with the mic and the game background music? I could probably go into one of the menus where there's a bit more sound. But I tested it earlier. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, this will be a good test. How's the music coming in compared to the mic? Let me know if it's too loud so I can drop the volume on the game music. The reason why I would want to make sure we don't have any issues with sound on this particular game is because Guilty Gear's soundtrack absolutely slaps. It's one of my favorite series when it comes to music in general. The guy who does the development on the game and all of the music is Ishiwatari Daisuke. And Ishiwatari Daisuke is one of my favorite composers. So I definitely want to make sure we're not losing the music. But according to the monitor, it's coming in. So let me know how the sound balance is before I go ahead and get started here. Okay, is game audio a little bit loud compared to the mic? I'll drop it a little bit. How's that? I dropped it down about where I usually have it for the other game stuff that I've been doing. Let me know how that sounds compared to before. I'll just leave it here on the character select screen until we get a good balance, and then we'll go ahead and jump in. I wonder what the latency lag is between when I do something on stream and you guys see it. It's probably like 30 seconds, like standard latency. Once we actually get in, somewhere in between this and before would be good. Is it too soft now? All right. Got it up a little bit, but still less than it was before. How's that? What I'll do after the stream, like I've done for the previous ones, is I'll take a cap of my audio levels for this particular game, and if the settings that I have here sound good, then I'll keep it this way for the next one, and I won't have to bug you guys to make sure the sound quality is alright. Okay, thanks, Edward. I appreciate it. Alright. So we're in training mode. What I'm going to do is jump in and explain a little bit about how this game works. And this would be a good opportunity for the folks on stream to let me know how the video is coming in. I'm hoping there isn't a lot of stuttering or frame issues with the actual broadcast. OBS says I'm currently dropping 26%, which is not good. I ideally wouldn't like to see it dropping any frames, or ideally in like the single digits. But for the stream, it should be functional. Like I've mentioned before, I'm recording this through OBS anyway. So after the broadcast, since I'm going to have to edit this a little bit anyway, I'll be uploading the full stream from today, and it'll be at a higher bit rate than probably what it's capturing on YouTube. I just don't want the stream itself to be really jerky, otherwise people aren't gonna want to watch it at all. So I kind of mess around here. Edward, if you're still there, just let me know how the video is picking up. If there's quality issues with the video itself, I may have to consider upgrading my internet at some point. Well, we're getting sort of set up here and getting feedback on the stream quality. I'll talk a little bit about the kind of game that Guilty Gear is when it comes to fighters. As far as classification goes for fighter types, Guilty Gear has always been a 2D 1v1 fighter with the exception of a couple installments in the series. I think it was Iska that introduced the sort of team battle or simultaneous battle system, and I think it was Overture was more of an action-adventure game. But at its core, Guilty Gear okay, thanks, Edward. As long as the frame rate looks stable and it's not really choppy for the stream broadcast, that's what I'm most concerned about. I'm currently streaming at 2500 bitrate wise, which seems pretty functional for most of the stuff I play. But Guilty Gear is a bit more graphic intensive than some of the other stuff I've played here on the channel so far. So I just want to make sure there aren't any issues with it looking like it's really jerky and distracting for people. But again, I'm going to be uploading this edited on YouTube anyway, so the actual archive of the stream is going to be regular quality. But anyway, to sort of summarize, Guilty Gear is a two-dimensional fighter. It's kind of in a category of its own when it comes to fighting games. If you compare it to other 2D fighting games like, let's say, the SNK series, like King of Fighters, or even Marvel vs. Capcom, a lot of the hyper fighting games, Guilty Gear sort of sits somewhere in between, but has a lot of unique mechanics of its own. It's primarily a 4-button fighter as far as the basic inputs. You have punch, and I'm playing this on an arcade fight stick, which is why you can hear my buttons. I'm gonna try not to slam on them too much so it's not too distracting. But our primary attack buttons are punch, kick, slash, and HS is hard slash, I believe. And inputs and commands are done using any combination of those buttons. And the combo system uses manual inputs to sort of chain things together. This isn't an auto combo system like Killer Instinct, and I don't think they have baked in combos like they did on Persona 4 Arena. It's been a long time since I played Double X, and I don't exactly remember how that combo system worked. I just know there weren't a lot of built-in chains or auto combos in those older games. From what I read, Strive simplified some things from Xrd, which came before it, but I didn't play that one, so I wouldn't really know how they tweaked the combat system. But as we explore the cast, the point of the stream here today is to get an intro into Strive and to take a look at all the different characters, or hopefully we can get through the entire roster today. But take a look at how each of them play and their sort of focus and gimmicks for their character archetypes. And then hopefully I can find a main out of the cast in this game. The character I mained in the last Guilty Gear I played, which was Accent Core, isn't in this game yet, and that was Venom, the long-haired assassin billiards player guy. He is not currently in the game yet. He might be coming in a future installment or DLC. But he was the guy I played with the most in the older games. But we'll start with Soul. Soul Bad Guy is one of the main characters of Guilty Gear. And I'm not going to really bother going into story or lore right now. I'm thinking about doing story playthroughs as part of streams. I just don't know how I want to do that quite yet. But talking about the story of the Guilty Gear series, Guilty Gear's got a really complicated and extensive story, all the way from the first game up through the different iterations and spin-offs and this current version. I would say if you want to check out a good synopsis of Guilty Gear's story, check out Wooly Versus' channel. Wooly being one of the folks in the old Super Best Friends Let's Play group. He's a fighting game enthusiast and pretty well known in the fighting game community in general. I've always been a fan of his content, and he does a lot of stuff on fighting games and fighting game lore. So if you want to see a really in-depth overview of the older games and how their story is connected, then definitely check out the Wooly Versus channel. It's presented in a really interesting way and provides a lot of insight because the story of these games is super confusing. Maybe what I can do when I put the stream archives up for this is link Wooly's channel in the description, so if people are curious, they can go and take a look. Anyway, looking at Soul as a basic character archetype, I never played Soul primarily in the older games, but his function seems to be a close-range rushdown type character. He's got a lot of really quick normals and hard-hitting attacks that get in the opponent's face. And he can close the distance pretty well. I don't know the names of all his attacks, so we're probably going to want to look at the command list. And according to what we see here on the command list, they have an animated demo on the right that shows you what the move does when it comes out. And the description talks about the functional properties of the different moves too, which is super neat. As fighting games have sort of become more popular, the tutorials and information that they break down in the training modes and stuff like the command lists has gotten more detailed. I like the fact that it talks about how, like this first one, command normal 1, forward, and X, and this is Xbox notation. I'm using a PlayStation Fight Stick, so I'll have to get my head around how to explain the notation, but forward X should be forward punch. Attack with upper body invincibility, so a good way to stuff incoming aerial attacks. Command normals are all done by doing a directional input plus one of the buttons. Not necessarily considered a special attack, just a modified version of a regular normal input. So command normal 2 moves forward slightly. This looks like it's forward slash. And command normal 3. This looks like it's forward hard slash. I don't think it's forward kick. Fast startup, long range, good for punish, but will leave you vulnerable if the opponent blocks or dodges. We can sort of see how these play out in game here. I'm just gonna show the demo of what's going on here for the sake of people watching. For special attacks, Guilty Gear utilizes a lot of the standard fighting game inputs and commands. Things like quarter circle motions, forward, backwards, your quote-unquote Hadouken or fireball motions, which is how you get Gunflame, which is quarter circle forward and punch, I believe. Gunflame Feint, which is a fake out. Is just the reverse input, and these look like they assume you're facing to the right, just like in the demo. Volcanic Viper is a Shoryuken or Dragon Punch input, and Y or B, so is that slash or hard slash, looks like. I'll test out the actual inputs in-game, and I can explain that a little bit better. Bandit Revolver, quarter circle forward and kick. This is the horizontal movement gap closer I showed before. Looks like it comes out relatively quick. It's good for getting in someone's face if they're trying to push you away to mid-range. Quarter circle back, Bandit Bringer. Overhead. Quarter circle back kick. Evade pokes. And opponent can't block crouching. So overheads can't be blocked when you're in a crouch state. They've got to be blocked high and standing. Okay, aerial overhead. And can be done in the air as well. Off the ground, Soul jumps up and sort of spikes him downwards. If you do it in the air, he just comes straight down at an angle. Wild Throw. Dragon Punch, input, and kick. Command Throw. Can't be blocked, but will whiff at absolute close range. So it looks like you want to be next to the enemy, but not... Okay, we'll whiff unless very close, so it's got a pretty close minimum range. Looks like you have to be right on top of them, right next to them. If you're outside range by a little bit, then you'll be wide open because it'll miss. Night Raid Vortex. Quarter circle back. Slash. Lunge forward. And launches. Okay, it looks like you can launch them and extend the distance by holding down button input. Evade attacks that hit high and can't be cancelled into from normal attacks. Alright, so the low profile things that are coming at you, if they're at a mid to high range, it'll go under them, looks like. Okay, Fafnir. Quarter circle forward and heavy slash. Sort of a lunge forward punch. Quick recovery. Gives you advantage on block. It's a good poke. Can't be cancelled into from a normal attack. Okay. But we'll see if we can put that into practice. And in the lower right, or lower left, right above the border of my overlay here, which I may have to consider changing if I'm playing this particular game. It shows me the motions of the directional stick along with the button inputs that I'm pushing whenever it is I'm doing attacks. So Gunflame, this is the quarter circle forward and punch. Fake out, quarter circle back, punch. This is the forward slash command normal. Here's the lunging uppercut. Vortex. On the stages for this particular game, there's boundaries that if you hit the enemy through, then it breaks the boundary and sends them into another section of the stage, which is kind of neat. Okay, these are the kick moves. Quarter circle forward. Bandit bringer, quarter circle back. From the ground. From the air. Can you charge that? No. Okay. This is Fafnir. This is the quarter circle forward hard slash. Volcanic Viper. This is the Dragon Punch input. Can be done in the air too. Learning how the different moves combo into each other is going to be fun. It's been so long since I've played a Guilty Gear game that I do not remember how things combo in this series. Let's see, how do you do dust? Oh, that's burst. R1 is dust. Let's check the button settings. Yeah, dust on this particular controller is R1. Supposed to be a launch though. There you go. The dust command is always something that's been in the Guilty Gear games of the past. It's a one-button input that serves as sort of a launch, which is how you can continue the combo by jumping up after the enemy. You can hit him a bunch in the air for additional damage. I don't know exactly how the properties of dust work, as far as if there's frame priority or if you're supposed to use it as a counter. Looks like Soul's moves chain together fairly well. I'm just doing inputs like a couple punches into the actual input for the kick. Alright, to demonstrate the command normal, since I didn't do that before, if we look at standard punches for Soul, this is just regular input punch. You can tell by how the input marker in the lower left is lighting up. If I hit forward punch, this is the high invincible one. Look at slash. Regular input slash is the sort of lunging low punch. If I hit forward slash, you get the big sweep with his sword. It's part of the point of using command normals is figuring out how you want to mix up your attacks depending on what the enemy does. Because this one is upper body invincible, it can be used for anti-air, I assume. The opponent's jumping at you and trying to attack, you could do something like forward punch, or if you can react fast enough, you could do dragon punch slash for volcanic viper. If you need to close the distance or get under things like fireballs, looks like Vortex is good for that. And can be set up to combo, but it doesn't look like it launches. So I wonder how you would use that in a combo. Okay. Chain it with kicks. There you go. You could do something like that where you use Vortex into a couple chain attacks like kicks into the kick. The downwards one's what, Bandit Bringer? Bandit Revolver, okay. Alright. Oh. And for his command grab, it's a Dragon Punch input. Kick at close range, plants them in the ground on the other side. And like the description mentioned, if you're farther away, it'll miss. So you want to be right next to him to use that, otherwise you'll be left pretty open. Alright, let's keep going here. What I'm going to do is, after we get through Soul here, I'm going to move through the rest of the cast. I'm not going to spend as much time just explaining the general controls. I want to explore the movesets and see what each character has to offer. And if I sit here and talk about all the different mechanics of everything, we'll be here for about 7 hours. So overdrives. Overdrives are super moves. They're tied to the tension meter at the bottom of the screen that fills up as you do different things. And Guilty Gear's been interesting ever since the beginning because the inputs for their supers have always been a little bit more complicated than some of the other games where you have super moves. Things like Marvel vs. Capcom, where it'd be an input like throw a fireball motion in 2 attacks to get your super moves to come out. Or Street Fighter, where it's do something like 2 fireball motions and then hit a button for the super. Guilty Gear and Arc System games in general tend to have slightly more complex motions. So for what we see here in Tyrant Rave, the first overdrive for Soul, that's a quarter circle back and then forward plus hard slash. Which means you do front to back motion and then front motion plus hard slash. And that looks like this. Fairly quick, close range, hard hitting super. And if they're not within pretty close striking range, it's going to miss. But you can combo into it if you get the input correct. Let's see, does the initial punch hit too, or is it just the burst? Okay. Close range, the sort of burst at the beginning will hit, plus the big punch follow-up. Learning how to combo into supers correctly and use them at the right time is going to be one of the challenging things to learn in this particular game. But let's look at the other one. Heavy Mob Cemetery. 2 quarter circles back plus hard slash. It doesn't tell you how many tension stock it uses though. Looks like Soul's able to withstand any attack when he's charging forward, so it's got armor. Can't be cancelled into from a normal attack, unlike Tyrant Rave. So Heavy Mob Cemetery. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see how much distance it covers too. We do it from all the way down back here. Oh, okay, that goes a pretty considerable distance. Can I do it from full screen? Yep. That looks like it hits from full screen. Though I imagine if your opponent sees you do it from all the way over here, they can probably jump it. I think all the characters in the game, maybe with the exception of some of the bigger ones, can double jump. I'm going to assume a double jump will get over the top of that one, but you can't hit Soul out of it if it's armored. That's a pretty cool attack. In general, Soul's pretty aggressive brawler with a lot of really flashy attacks. As the quote-unquote protagonist of the series, for the most part. His arsenal's been relatively consistent. I think there's a couple moves here that are new. Yeah, overall pretty good place to start if you're getting into Guilty Gear and you want a character who's not terribly complex as far as mechanics go. Soul's a good place to start. So let's move on. Let's take a look at some of the other folks on the roster. I guess we can... I'll start from left to right. Looks like we got... What is it? 8, 12, 15 characters to start. I don't think they've announced anything regarding upcoming DLC characters, but there is going to be an additional set of characters coming in DLC. But let's look at Nago first. Nagoriyuki. This guy is new to the series. His debut has been in Strive. I'll beat up on Kai for a while. Alright, Nago is... He's definitely a larger sized character. Decent ground speed. He does not have a forward dash. He's got a back dash. He does not have a double jump. Definitely more of a larger, heavier class. Look at his normals. Punch. Slash. Kick. Heavy slash. Forward punch, command normal. Does not look like any slash command normals. Forward heavy slash is a sort of overhead chopping slash. And kick. Forward kick is this sort of stomp. From what I gather, looking about the lore, Nago is a vampire of sorts. He has a mechanic which hopefully we'll be able to see by going into the command list description, but those little red bursts you see coming off of Kai are blood bits that he's able to leech. And they do something, so let's take a look. Overview of command normals. Here's forward punch. Forward kick. Good for approaches. Forward hard slash. Here's the chop. Reduces blood gauge when this move lands on the opponent. Properties of this move change depending on the current blood gauge. Very rewarding on hit. Suffers from poor range and slow startup. Let's see. Okay, we've got sort of the advanced mechanics for all characters. I may have to look at this a little bit later. It talks about things like Roman cancels, which is a way to quick cancel your moves on input. Burst. Right bumper, any attack button. This is a burst to get people off you. Faultless defense. Back plus 2 attack buttons is a perfect guard, I believe. You get pushback and no chip damage, I believe. Okay, let's take a look at Nago's moves. More command normals. Slash slash. 2-hit combo with the sword. You could do slash slash slash. Alright. Blood Rage. When Nago enters the Blood Rage state, when Blood Rage passes a certain value, he enters Blood Rage state. The range of slash and heavy slash attacks extends, and Zansetsu can be used. Alright. Looks like just hitting the enemy builds up that gauge, but I wonder where you can see it. Oh, I think my input thing is blocking it. If you look at the lower left, behind the transparency for the control inputs, there's what looks like a little meter. You can see the end of it sticking out the right side of the input viewer. That looks like the blood meter. Let's see if we just hit Kai a bunch, if we can see it actually going up. Oh, it fills from the right side and up. Keeping an eye on the different normals that I'm using, and it looks like after you've landed a certain amount of attacks, it fills. Let's see what it says in the description here. This particular mechanic is unique to this character. Oh, I see. Alright, let's take a look at the normals. Command normal 3 reduces blood gauge when the move lands on the opponent. Looks like the slash moves reduce the blood gauge. Okay, I see. It looks like the gauge constantly builds, and using the sword slash based attacks causes it to deplete. And you can see in the lower left the meter slowly filling. I wonder if it's based on successive attacks. Looks like it's past level 2. I'm just using a mix of punches and kicks right now, and I'm looking at the meter, kind of trying to watch what it does. Alright. That's the blood range state. Looks like it depletes relatively quickly if you use sword attacks. Alright, let's keep looking at the command list. Nago's cool, but he's got a little bit more complicated moveset and mechanics than someone like Soul. So let's look at the first one. Zarame Yuki. Quarter circle forward and slash. Fires a double as a projectile. Can be followed up with other special moves during animation. Increases the blood gauge. Okay. Looks like special moves are increases to the blood gauge based on that. Kamura Yuki. Quarter circle back hard slash. Lunge attack that knocks opponent down on hit. Can be followed up with other special moves on either block or hit. So I wonder if it can chain into other specials like Oreka. Okay. Shizuru Yuki. Dragon Punch, Hard Slash, Anti-Air, Upper Body Invincibility. Continuing to follow up attack on block or hit, sending opponent flying back, so it's a knockback attack. Can be cancelled in other special moves on block or hit, increases blood gauge. Okay, so if you hit with the initial strike, you can combo it into something else like this. That's the way I read that. Blood-sucking universe. Dragon Punch plus punch. Command grab. Leeches health. Decreases blood gauge. Can't be blocked. Yeah, just like Soul's command throw. Very close range. Fukyo. Quarter circle forward or backwards plus A. This is his mobility option in place of a dash. Quarter circle forward or backward will move you in the direction you want. Okay. Alright. That's pretty handy. It's relatively fast, too. Alright. Here's the double attack. Alright, looks like you don't have long before the blood gauge depletes. Alright, let's see what else we got. Here's the sort of lunge. Ah, I see. Looks like you've got a few frames after that low hit goes off, and then you can throw something else like that double attack. But once he's in blood rage state, you can't throw the double out. Wow, that's a lot of damage. His forward hard slash in rage state's that big sort of backward sweeping hit he does. Got a huge range. Okay. Oh, this is down. This big sweep goes down hard slash. That's how I'm doing that. Alright. It said Zansetsu is something that can only be done in Blood Rage state. Range of all slash attacks goes up. What's Zansetsu? Oh, it's a super. Okay, let's look at his overdrives. Wasura Yuki. Quarter circle back, forward, slash. Fast startup. Beginning of the attack is invincible. So it can be thrown if someone's trying to get in your face and you won't get knocked out of it. Short range. Deals massive damage while increasing blood gauge. Causes area shift if you hit them near the border of the stage, okay? Mm, 19 hits? Wow, that do almost 50%? Just base? Wow. That super does almost 50%. That's the command throw. Dragon punch. Punch. Alright. The other one... Zansetsu, Blood Rage, quarter circle, back forward, hard slash. I missed. Alright. Let's see if we can land Zansetsu. Nope, missed again. Once blood meter pops. Keep missing. I keep knocking him down with a hard slash, and I'm whiffing the actual super. Ah, I'll get it. All right. Apparently I can't do the actual super input unless I do a standing hard slash first, which is dumb. see for pop. There we go. Single hit. Okay, not too flashy, but... Oh, it can hit from full screen pretty much? Okay. Not the most flashy super, but pretty functional if you want to hit someone from very far away. If Blood Rage pops and you're out of hit distance, yeah, it's almost full screen. Wow. Interesting. So in summary, Nago looks like a mix of heavier hitting attacks, chainable combos with his sword, and his blood meter mechanic, which improves the range on his slash and heavy slash attacks. I do like how you can chain some of his specials together. Oh wow, okay. When they say the range goes up, they're not kidding. It's almost full screen distance and smacking him. Alright. Interesting character. I really like his design. Nago's outfit and that mask of his is pretty cool looking. Alright. Moving on. Next up, we have Ceres Staple, and I think she's been in every game going all the way back. I don't know if she was in the original Guilty Gear, but I know she was in Double X onwards. We have Milia Rage. Alright. Compared to the last two characters, Milia is going to be a bit more quick as far as movement and attacks go. She has a double jump. She has forward back dash. If you hold forward, you get a persistent running dash, which I'm assuming low profiles because she gets closer to the ground. Her main gimmick is she attacks using her hair. Standing punch is this real quick poke or spear. Forward punch is this slightly slower flower looking attack. Standing slash, kind of a sweeping, looks like a mid. I wish the dummy told you where it's hitting. Some other fighting game tutorials will actually give you the information about where the attack's coming in. It's possible I need to enable additional analytics that show that, but we won't worry about that for now. Standing slash. Crouching slash. She does not have a forward attack input for regular slash. Kicks. Standing kick. Sort of a mid-range leaning back kick. Comes out relatively quick. Forward kick is this somersaulting flip kick. Takes longer to come out. Wonder if that hits overhead. Standing heavy slash. Sort of piercing chain looking attack. Forward heavy slash is a 2-hit advancing slash combo. Looks like you can combo into it if you're using a fast enough attack. Okay. Fairly quick normals. Command list. Saw that one. That's the flower. Forward kick is the... Oh, it is an overhead. Okay. Can't be blocked while crouching. You'll be first to move. You'll be able to move first even if the opponent blocks. But pretty safe on block. Can't be blocked while crouching because it's an overhead. Although the first hit is not an overhead, it can be cancelled into an aerial special move. That's interesting. I guess we'll have to look at the specials. Bad Moon. Quarter circle forward punch. In midair. Okay, can only be done in midair. Fast startup, easy to combo. Hits overhead just like the flip kick. Okay. Quarter circle forward A or quarter circle forward kick. Turbo fall. Movement technique. This gets her to the ground quickly. And she can get on the other side of the opponent, sort of passing through them for mix-up opportunities. That looks like it comes out really quick. That's also a mid-air attack. Tandem top. Quarter circle forward slash or heavy slash. Projectile comes out. Regular slash, fast startup, easy to use in combos. Heavy slash, longer startup, but knocks opponent down. And for the heavy slash, looks like it stays out for a bit and she can follow up. Interesting. Quarter circle back punch, Iron Savior. Sliding low hitting attack. I'm going to assume that's good for low profiling stuff. If it's a high projectile. And it can get you in range. So you want to get in range, hit low. Looks useful. Mirage. This is a grounded version of Turbo Fall. Forward movement. And you can use for mix-ups. And I guess it goes through them even if they're blocking. That's interesting. I wonder how it chains into her other attacks. Lust Shaker. Quarter circle back slash. Multiple hitting standing attack. Decent amount of chip damage even on block. Okay. Couple. Quarter circle forward hard slash. Heavy slash. Creates a projectile beneath her, flying up from the recoil. It's like a close range projectile, and she gets air movement. I wonder if you can combo out of that when she pops up like that. Just had to check the button inputs, make sure I'm calling these things the right terms. Heavy slash, not hard slash. Alright. Let's take a look at her special moves and her basic normals. So this is Tandem Top. Regular slash version comes out pretty quick like the description says. Can combo into it from her regular punches and kick normals, looks like. Alright. Heavy slash version. Takes longer to come out for sure. But once it's out, you can continue to hit the enemy while the little thing is spinning. I wonder if you can set up unblockables doing that. It looks like it hits mid. Interesting. Here's the aerial projectile. Here's the quick fall. Iron Savior, low hitting gap closer. Let it go from full screen. Oh wow, we'll go full screen. Here's your sort of pass through teleporting thing on the ground, or circle back kick. I wonder if you can buffer into it. Okay. Lust Shaker. That has a bit of startup. But it looks like you can combo into it. Probably not unless you have a good opening, since it takes a minute to start up. Alright. Couple. That can be done anywhere. It's basically forward movement. I was trying to see if you can do tandem top into that before she hits the ground, but I don't think it works that way. Nope, can't do it out of that. Doesn't look like you can do Bad Moon out of tandem top either. That would be interesting if you could essentially use that to get airborne. Alright, let's look at her supers. Winger. Quarter circle back, forward, heavy, slash. Powerful lunge attack that sends Melia upwards. Fast startup. Can be used essentially like an anti-air counter. And startup is invincible. Can be used to interrupt opponent's block strings. Alright. Looks like it goes straight up and then comes down. See if we can use it away from the edge of the screen. Yep. Then puts them into a grounded state. Seems like a good counter. The fact that it's startup invincible means you can probably power through a lot of attacks with it. Septem voices. Quarter circle, forward twice, slash. Oh, what's the properties? Multi-hit projectile. Good way to start up offense due to fast startup and recovery. Okay. Well, that does come out quickly. Full screen range. Yep. Combo into it too. You can combo in it from the tandem top as well. Alright. Interesting. It looks like for Millia, you have a good combination of rush down, close range attacks, and some interesting mobility options compared to some of the slower characters we've seen so far. Looking at her ability to come out of the air quickly, or her ability to sort of get close to or catch the opponent off guard, she seems like a good mix-up character. And your supers have some pretty good utility as far as sort of counter potential and then combo potential with the second one. Alright. I haven't played around with Millia too much in the other games, but she's got a pretty interesting moveset. Alright, next up, Chip Zenith, the Godspeed Ninja. I have played with this guy a little bit in the older games. He's definitely been working out. Alright, kind of like Millia, Chip is very fast. This is a quick character. He's got a dash, ground dash, and a persistent dash just by holding, double tapping and holding forward. His back dash is this flip. He's got a double jump, an air dash, which I haven't really been demoing for a lot of the characters, but certain ones, if you double tap in the air, you get an air dash. For normals, punch, it's a real quick back fist. Kick, front kick. Slash is sort of uppercut, advances slightly with this blade on his arm. Heavy slash is actually not a slash, but this double palm strike looking attack. For command normals, forward punch is this longer reaching palm strike. Doesn't look like there's command normal for regular slash. Forward heavy slash is this lunging downwards poke. Wonder if that hits overhead. Forward kick is a double foot drop kick. Here's the command normal summary. Palm strikes, upper body invincible. Forward kick. Okay, that hits overhead. Can be used to evade low attacks. Can't be blocked crouching like all other overheads. Command normal number 3. Forward hard heavy slash. Long range attack. Heavy damage does not look like it hits overhead. Down kick in midair, command normal 4. We didn't see this one, but looks like it's a head stomp. Sends him straight down. You can change basically his jump trajectory when you're moving around. If you want to throw the enemy off and come down on top of him or right in front of him, you can do down kick midair. All right, specials. These should be relatively familiar compared to the old games. Alpha Blade, fireball motion forward plus punch. Alpha Blade diagonal, quarter circle forward, kick. The regular one looks like it goes straight. I'm assuming he can't be hit when he vanishes like that, and will appear on the other side. Moves behind the opponent as he attacks. Okay, I'm assuming he goes through the enemy if they attack. They won't take damage, but he'll phase through, and you can cross him up from the other side. Alpha Blade diagonal, anti-air. In the corner, will bounce off and attack once more with a follow-up. Again, more good potential for mix-ups. Beta Blade, Dragon Punch motion, regular slash. Basically a Shoryuken, anti-air, invincible on startup. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm assuming you can use that to go through projectiles or jumping in attacks with knockback. Can't be Roman cancelled when whiffed. Okay. We may have to talk about Roman cancels another time. That's a slightly more advanced game mechanic for the Guilty Gear series. Gamma Blade creates a double that lunges forward. Quarter circle forward heavy slash. Remains at frame advantage even on block. But if the enemy hits the double, then Chip takes damage. Resho. Quarter circle forward and slash. Lunge attack at fast startup. Can be followed up with Rokusai or Senshu even when whiffed. Here are the Ureka type attacks. The way those work is when you throw the input, if you chain the same input again, you get different moves. Or you can chain in another input for a follow-up. So basically you open and you can go into the same input or the same input with kick. And you get different attacks that come out depending on what you do. So Rokusai is a low hit. Low attack with long reach. Can't be blocked while standing. And then Senshu, overhead. Leaping overhead. Okay. High-low mix-up if alternated with Rokusai. Interesting. Genryozan. Half circle back, slash. Incredibly damaging command grab. Okay, that comes in from above. Slow startup, but can grab from a little bit further away. I wonder if they can block it standing. You can't block throws, but I wonder if it whiffs if they're crouching. Okay. Shuriken, quarter circle back, punch in the air, downwards throwing ninja star projectile. Wall run, hold forward while dashing near corner. Air dash, I wonder if you can do that on the ground. If you just hold towards the walls when you're in the corner using either a dash or the upwards diagonal version of Alpha Blade, you can run up the wall. Sort of like a triangle jump. You can use that for follow-ups, I'm assuming, or to get out of the corner. Ah. Wall run attack. Any normal? Interesting. So you can sort of use it to chase the opponent depending on what direction they're moving or what direction you hit them. Back or down during wall run will cancel it, allowing you to drop straight down. Or attack from the air. Interesting. Chip's got a pretty diverse moveset. A lot of very quick, disorienting attacks is fitting for a ninja. Alright, that's Alpha Blade. Comes out relatively quick. Hits from about mid screen. This is the diagonal one. I'm trying to combo that into the wall run, see what it looks like. Quarter circle forward kick. Alright. Interesting. You just hit towards the wall and he'll sort of run up it. Okay, it's command throw. Doesn't hit full screen, maybe about a third of the screen away. No, a little less. Shuriken, quarter circle back punch. Pretty simple. Here's the Rekka. Here's the same input. Here's the kick input. See the potential mix-ups with the different inputs on his Rekka. Basically a good way to keep the enemy guessing when you're getting in their face, which seems to be a pretty big part of Chip's game. That's the double. Core circle forward. Heavy slash. Full screen? Yep, that'll hit full screen. But because he takes damage if the opponent hits it, you probably don't want to throw that from full screen. What's it? Dust combo. Alright. Let's look at his supers. Unless I'm missing anything else. Zansei Roga. Quarter circle back, forward, heavy slash. Lunge attack deals incredible damage. Moves from one side of the screen to the other. Full screen punish, it looks like. Slow startup, but completely invincible. Pretty flashy for using it at full screen. Oh wow, that does hit from full screen. I guess the only real defense against that would be to block it. If it's startup invincible, Even assuming you could throw something at him from that far away. Very flashy, cool looking super. The fact that it can hit from full screen is pretty useful. I'll bet it's really unsafe if blocked though. Banki Messai. Quarter circle forward twice and kick. Lunge attack that barrages opponents with countless strikes. Fast startup invincibility. Okay. This doesn't mean comboed. Oh, kick. I was using punch. Okay, not quite as cinematic as the other attack. Other super, but definitely quick. I wonder how fast or how far it goes if you're using it from further away. From full screen, looks like it goes about 80% of the screen, 90% of the screen. Stops just short. So you don't want to use it from complete full screen distance, maybe about half screen away. If you're going to throw a raw super out, which you probably wouldn't want to do against someone who knows what they're doing. I wonder if you can combo it from his Alpha Blade. Or the double one. Eh? Eh? It's like if you can catch someone sleeping with the Gamma Blade. I don't know. If that hits them, they might be able to recover fast enough that it can't chain the super. I don't think you can combo out of that. Oh. Forgot you can do that in the air. Alright, so that's Chip Zanuff in a nutshell. Fast movement, in-your-face rushdown with some sort of deceptive projectiles that can catch you off guard. A lot of mix-up potential. I remember this character being pretty fun. Good mix-up potential on his Rekkas. And keep the enemy guessing while staying in their face. And his wall run, which I didn't even know he could do that, gives him some good mobility in and around the edges of the screen. Alright, Chip's fun. Alright, we've looked at 4 out of 15 characters. I'd say if we can get through the top row on today's stream, then that might be a good place to break. We'll see. We'll keep going. Next up, we got Kai Kisk, sort of the other poster boy for the Guilty Gear series alongside Soul. Canonically, these two are pretty closely linked in the story. Kai's been in all the games, I believe, going back to the original, just like Soul. Wonder what the... Oh, is the little diagram to the left of the title their function at different ranges? So for Soul, close range is A, mid range is B, far range is C. Is that what that means? Yeah, I think that's range function. All right. Almighty All-Rounder. Kai Kisk. Let's... Okay. Kai, pretty moderate ground speed. Forward and back dashes. He also has a persistent dash if you just double tap forward and hold it. Does have a double jump. Does have forward and back air dashes. Standing punch. Sort of a slap, backhanded slap. Kick. Sort of a low kick you in the shins type move. Standing slash. Poke with his sword. Forget what his lightning sword's called. Standing heavy slash. It's sort of low, forward moving, round slash looking attack. Command normals. Forward punch is this elbow. Gonna assume this is upper body invincible like the others. No command input on slash. Kick. Forward kick is this heavier wind up roundhouse. Doesn't look like there's a command normal for heavy slash. Just hold on. Oh, yeah, I think that's a different move because he moves a different direction. But they hit the same distance? No, the forward heavy slash looks like it actually hits lower. Guess we'll look at the move summary and see what it says. Alright. Upper body invincibility. Alright, pretty consistent. Forward movement. Okay, knockback. Good damage in the corner. Similar hitting, but I guess the command normal for heavy slashes does more damage. Special attacks. Shock state. Certain attacks will put the enemy into shock state. And special moves receive a power-up when they hit an opponent that are shocked. They also take more chip damage when blocking specials while in shock state. Okay. Stun edge. Quarter circle forward plus regular slash. Standard forward moving projectile. This is your all-purpose Hadouken type move. And puts them into shock state on hit. Quarter circle forward plus heavy slash is a charged version. Hits multiple times. Good for locking down the enemy. but slower startup. Doesn't come out right away. Aerial can use his projectile in the air. The light one looks like it moves down. I guess 2 different aerial angles. We'll have to test it. I don't think the demo is showing both. Okay, same thing. Range projectile puts the enemy into shock state. Stun dipper, forward kick. Quarter circle forward kick. Lunge attack sends Kai towards opponent close to the ground. So it's a low hitting gap closer. 2 hits. Yeah, 1-2. Looks like it'll low profile high attacks as well. I wonder if it goes under standard projectiles. Fudra arc. Quarter circle back kick. Forward leaping flip kick. Advantage on block. Good way to jump poking attacks. Vapor thrust. Dragon punch input slash or heavy slash. Okay, basic Shoryuken. Invincible on startup, just like we saw with some of the other characters. Heavy slash version does more damage, but slower startup. Can't be Roman cancelled. Okay. Dire Eclat. Quarter circle back slash. Forward advancing slash with shock state. Short recovery, and looks like it can combo. Okay. Kai doesn't have a really complex moveset. A lot of them are just quarter circles or dragon punch motions. Alright, let's take a look. Stun edge. Charge stun edge. Yeah, charge version definitely takes longer to come out. Jumping standard slash one is pretty sharp. Incoming angle. Heavy slash, definitely a lot more of a broad angle there. Looks like you would use the standard slash one to cut off people that are coming directly towards you in close range, and you'd use the heavy slash one to back people off if they're coming at you from further away. Okay, so here's the low hitting 2-hit attack. Here's the leaping flip. That hits from pretty far away. Probably not full screen, yeah. Maybe about half. But slow. Okay. Here's the arc. Standard dragon punch. Regular slash version. Heavy slash version. Alright. We missing anything else? He doesn't have a command throw, looks like. But he does have 3 supers. This is the first character we've seen with 3 different supers, technically. First one, Ride the Lightning. Quarter circle back, forward, heavy slash. So one thing I didn't mention, since we've been messing around with Guilty Gear. One thing that's been a series staple, going all the way back to the very first game, when it comes to the characters and cast, is there are tons of metal references. all over Guilty Gear, whether it's characters specifically that are in reference to rock or metal bands, or if it's attacks or different skills they use. Ishiwatari Daisuke loves his metal, and he put tons of references in everything. There's so many different references throughout the different games in the series. So for Ride the Lightning, that's a very clear Metallica reference. And he's had that attack since the very, very first game, I think. So heavy damaging attack, fast startup and invincibility as the attack comes out. Alright, Ride the Lightning. This is basically a forward hitting attack. Wonder how far that goes. Full screen? It definitely travels. Alright, it'll travel full screen, but I think the actual shoulder tackle does damage if you're close enough. Yeah. You get extra hits and more damage if you do it closer up. It doesn't seem like you'd want to throw it raw at full screen. Assuming the enemy didn't just hit you out of it, you wouldn't get maximum damage versus finding a way to hit closer up. Okay. Sacred Edge. Quarter circle forward twice and punch. Multiple hitting projectile attack. Basically a powered up stun edge. Due to its quick recovery and fast startup, you can basically follow it in. I think that's what they're saying there. Not really fast enough to just immediately follow up. But it comes out relatively quick and puts the enemy into stun shock state. Okay. When health is low, Dragon Install. This is a new attack for Kai. He's never had an install. In fact, Soul had Dragon Install. I don't know if I'll be able to do this without changing my health status. Quarter circle back twice, heavy slash. Install state, which means the character's properties change for a set amount of time. Strengthening each of his special moves, and will knock the enemy back upon activation. So let's see. Put my health down to like 10%. Alright, we have a visual change for Kai, and I don't think it changes the actual animations of his attacks, but they should be stronger, as in more damage. And does it have a timer? Usually install abilities will wear off after a certain amount of time. I can't imagine it lasts till the end of the round. That'd be incredibly powerful. I guess you have to test it in a real match. But the animation effect on Kai is pretty cool. He's got anime protagonist effects on him. Alright. So that's Kai Kisk. Overall, I'd say if you're looking for a real simple place to start as far as moveset and gimmicks, he's kind of, as the poster boy alongside Soul, pretty simple as far as the character goes. That doesn't mean he's weak or less effective than anybody else. But if you want to get a good feel for how attacks and combos and everything work in Guilty Gear, starting with Kai would give you a pretty accessible place to start. You could basically pick him up and use him like a standard Shoto type character. Someone like a Uryu from Street Fighter. His inputs are very similar. Alright. Let's move on. Relentless Girl, Mei. Looks like she's best at mid-range, okay in close range, and not great at far range. I've heard a lot about how this character plays in this iteration of Guilty Gear. I guess we'll find out when we take a look. But it sounds like she's got some pretty interesting and frustrating setups to fight against. Alright, looking at her ground speed, she's got kind of a slower walk speed compared to some of the other characters. She does have a dash, persistent dash by double tapping forward like all the others, back dash, double jump, air dash. She's kind of quick in the air actually. Looking at combos, standing punch, it's a real quick left jab, kick, double kick with the anchor, standing slash, heavy anchor swipe, and that's got pretty decent range too. It'll hit from about here, standing heavy slash, short range, but I'm assuming that's an overhead. Anchor chop. Alright. No command normal on punch. Jumping flip. Command normal on kick. No command normal on regular slash, just standard swipe. Command normal forward on heavy slash though is this big wind up. And it can be charged. Let's see. How much does it do raw? 70? Charged does 90. Okay. Oh, she does have a command normal for punch. Does it look different? Oh, okay. A little bit slower and very similar animation, but she leans forward a little bit more, which is where the upper body invincibility comes from. Alright. I'm assuming everybody's got a forward punch command normal. Forward, here's the flip kick. Oh, she has a diagonal. Down forward diagonal kick is sliding low. I can probably low profile and get under high attacks or projectiles. And here's the big anchor smack. Forward heavy slash. And she has another one in the air. Down heavy slash in the air is a sort of anchor drop. Overhead that comes straight down. You can change your jump trajectory, kind of like in this chip. Alright. Special attacks. Oh, that's right. She's got charge moves. I am not good at charge characters. But hold back, forward, slash, or heavy slash does Mr. Dolphin. A lunging dolphin strike attack. Good for surprise attack or pokes. Slash version, fast startup, long recovery. Heavy slash, slow startup, fast recovery. Okay. Apparently this move is really obnoxious. Overhead kiss. Dragon punch motion kick. Command grab. Close range. Looks like it hits him up and then follows up with another attack to knock him back to the ground. Arisugawa Sparkle. Quarter circle back punch or kick. Projectile attack with different trajectories. Decent recovery. Good poke at mid-range. She doesn't have a lot of specials. Alright. Oh yeah, that comes out really fast. This is the standard slash version. Here's the heavy slash version. I guess it's harder to follow up with the basic slash version, but if you can land the other one, I guess it gives you a bit more recovery. Here's a projectile. The kick version sort of comes out at a bit more of a broad angle. Almost full screen. Quarter circle back punch. This one looks like it hits directly in front of you. Short range. Beginning to see how you can chain those dolphin attacks just by doing a couple normals and holding back to buffer and then throwing forward plus slash. Like that. That comes out really quick. I don't know if you'd have to be anticipating the block for that, but just using the standard slash one, that comes out really quick. Alright. Command grab. Okay. Guess we can look at her supers. Great Yamada attack. Quarter circle forward twice plus slash. Projectile barrage type super. Okay. Move startup will be faster the closer Mei is to the corner, the faster it comes out. That's interesting. Is it quarter circle forward slash? Yeah. Alright, so for about mid-screen, that's a giant pink whale. If we're right next to them, okay. Can't tell how much faster or slower it came out. But if we do it from the absolute edge near the corner, unless they mean the closer corner. Hard to tell. Even at the extreme edges of the screen, I'm not seeing a huge startup difference. Oh, not quite done yet. Wonderful and dynamic Gosho Gawara. Quarter circle, back, forward, heavy slash. Powerful lunge attack that moves upwards. Mei makes an arc moving forward, so it can be used as an anti-air. Okay. Alright. I couldn't even see what she hit him with. Oh, it's an Orca. Alright. It looks like the initial hit is anti-air, and then there's a splash hit when it comes down on the ground. And I'm assuming it's not really usable from full screen. I am not good at doing that motion when I'm facing the left. Yeah, it'll whiff completely if used that far away. So that's definitely a close range super. I'm assuming you want to use it at absolute close range so you capitalize on the first hit. If I can get it to come out. Yeah, I think you'd have to use it close range. That's over 50%. Jeez, I haven't been paying attention to the damage numbers on these supers. It seems like that's pretty good damage. Or it could be an additional bonus from getting the screen transition. Yeah, Mei looks like a pretty good mid-range brawler. He's got a couple different attacks that come out quickly with good utility. That dolphin attack is kind of nutty. It comes out really fast. Like, I'm chaining that just by doing normals and throwing the input. And I don't know if you have enough recovery to block. Yeah, not bad. I could see how a well-trained Mei would be an absolute handful to deal with. Alright, before we keep going, I'm gonna step away for a quick second. I will be right back. let's continue on with the cast overview here. All right. Next up, we've got Zato 1. This character has been in a vast majority of the games, although his actual canon character has sort of gone through a couple iterations. I'm pretty sure his name, I don't think his name is a reference to a metal band, but if you look at his name, Zato 1, but you said the one in English, you'd get Zatoichi, and his eyes are covered, so I think that's a reference to Zatoichi, the blind swordsman. I'd have to go verify that, but it would make sense. This guy is close range, he's got a C. Mid range is good, and far range is good. So mid to far range fighter looks like. Alright, on the ground, Zato's pretty slow. He's got slow, this sort of sliding animation is his walk cycle. Pretty slow foot speed. He does have a back dash and a forward dash by holding forward is this kind of interesting surfing animation. Canonically, Zato 1 is got this symbiotic relationship with his parasite that you see sort of in his shadow and sometimes overtaking his body. And the parasite's called Eddie. Alright, if we look at the normals, standing punch is this sort of close range quick poke. Forward punch is this slower sort of skull swipe. Oh, that animation looks cool. Zato 1's always had really neat animations on all his attacks. Standing kick is actually a low hitting kick, looks like. Forward kick, command normal, a sort of higher hitting blade chop looking attack. Standing slash is this close range sort of snapping bite. Again, really neat animation effects on Eddie. Does not look like there is a command normal for slash. Standing heavy slash. Oh, I remember that move. This is a bigger heavy hit that goes out a ways in front of him. Wow, that looks cool too. Super neat animation. Forward heavy slash is this sort of pouncing aerial hit. I'm assuming that's going to hit overhead. Decent range. Will hit from about half screen's distance ish. Yeah. This is the crouch. Okay, he doesn't have a double jump, but his air dash is sort of this flying animation, and he can change his trajectory, rather. So you can air dash and sort of sustain, or you can do sort of a altitude decay type thing and come down. I imagine that's useful for comboing and doing jump ins, and that works for both forward and backward. Again, super slick animation. And I guess because he doesn't have an actual input double jump, if you hold up, then he goes upwards with the flight. Alright. Command normals. Here's the skull swipe. Forward kick. Command normal hits overhead. Good to know. Alright, the leaping command normal forward heavy slash is not an overhead, but it can be canceled into aerial moves, which is interesting. What does that mean? I guess his aerial specials? Yeah, I'm guessing that cancel means specials. Alright, summon Eddie. From what I remember, Zato 1 is like a puppet type character or summon character. A couple of his commands bring his alter ego, Eddie, on screen, and you can do different inputs to control what Eddie does. And it can be out on screen for a certain amount of time or until Zato takes damage. So quarter circle back, heavy slash summons Eddie. And I'm assuming all of these inputs have to be done while he's on screen. Pierce, quarter circle forward punch, 2 attacks moving forward, works well as a poke. Quarter circle forward kick creates a large number of drills, low hits. If they're blocking, I'm assuming the subsequent hits will lock down, like it says. Leap. Pouncing forward hitting move. As it knocks opponents upwards, it can be followed up with a combo even at mid-range. Okay. Oppose. Quarter circle forward, heavy slash. Slow multi-hit attack. Looks like armor. Eddie can withstand enemy attacks until the attack comes out. So it's like a shield. Like a blocking type move. I've seen people in matches use this kind of like a barrier for Zato to absorb hits. That's interesting. Down, down, heavy slash, invite hell. Creates a drill at a distance. Okay, this is a zoning tool. Something you can use from further away. Break the law. May or may not be, is it Judas Priest reference? Quarter circle back, kick, hold OK. Shadow teleport. So you can use it to reposition, looks like. And I bet you can use that to evade. Wonder if the enemy throws an attack or a super and you use that, it won't hit. Damned Fang. Command grab, yep. Dragon punch, regular slash. High damage, close range grab. Drunkard shade, quarter circle back. Slash. Projectile reflect barrier, okay. When used in proximity to Eddie, he can be moved far away in an instant. Interesting. Alright. Well, Zato 1 is probably our first fairly complex character we've seen. Because he functions like a summon or puppet character, a lot of his attacks involve telling Eddie what to do and using his different abilities in conjunction with the regular normals and attacks that Zato's got. So if we take a look and we use Pierce, we can use that to actually get him out. We don't have to summon Eddie first. Quarter circle forward punch is Pierce. Can reset my health. Alright. So here's the pounce. The energy meter for Eddie is in the same place as Nago's blood meter, directly above my tension gauge, kind of obscured by the input viewer. Okay. Here's the teleport. Okay, and I can't issue another command till the bar refills, it looks like. Yeah. As a result of having meter management on his summon, Zato 1's kind of a resource management character in that regard. Alright, quarter circle back, heavy slash, like the command list said, will summon Eddie, and you can move him around with Zato using the directional stick, and you can send him away by doing the input again, quarter circle back, heavy slash, and I think that's an instant refill on his meter, or instant recharge. Makes me wonder if part of the strategy with Zato 1 is getting Eddie out for different attacks and then getting him back in order to get his meter refilled. Because it looks like if you summon him and then send him away, his meter recovers faster than if you summon him and it empties out. Like if we watch his meter completely empty out and then we have to wait for it to refill, but if we summon him, get to about half, then we send him away, yeah, it definitely recovers faster. So I'm wondering if you have to work on not letting that timer run out if you can avoid it, so you can get to recharge faster and thus have more Eddie at your disposal. It does look like certain attacks consume Eddie's meter faster. Like if I send him out and then have him do Pierce, each of the attacks is consuming chunks of his meter, so it'll empty out faster. Oh, command grab. Didn't look at that yet. That's a really cool animation. Zato 1's always been visually impressive, and all his different kind of funky attacks like that. That's just jumping slash in the air. This is jumping heavy slash, punch, kick. Oh, I haven't seen Invite to Hell. Does that come out Alright, comes out a set distance in front. The shading effects on that look really cool, in addition to the way it animates when it spins. Alright, let's take a look at Zato 1's supers. Amorphous, quarter circle, back forward, heavy slash. Shadows extend to the opponent attacking him. Very difficult to jump over the shadows. I wonder if that means the entire animation from when it's on the ground to when it comes up. Let's see how the range is for that one. There we go. Full screen. Oh, it'll go full screen, but I'm guessing it's so slow that the enemy can just block. Okay. Oh, you can even use it while the blocking attack is up. Interesting. Sun Void, quarter circle back forward, regular slash, in air okay. Eddie transforms into a sword, flying opponent as a projectile. I remember a variation of this particular super he's had in previous games. But it also looks like it's placement based too. Alright, so you can use it to have him on the field once the attack's done, and if his gauge was recovering, it'll automatically fill it. Hard to tell where the positioning was on that. Alright. It looks like where the impact occurs is where it will sort of summon him. Comes out relatively quick though. Okay, is that it? Yep, that's it for supers. I like Zato 1. He's pretty fun. He seems very difficult to use initially though. But the ability to set up different sort of traps for the enemy using Eddie in conjunction to all of his different attacks definitely has potential. Of the characters in the roster we've seen so far, I'm gravitating towards Zato 1 as a potential main. We will keep that in mind. I'll have to think more about that once we've gone through the entire cast. Which, again, that's most likely not going to be this stream. I think I will finish with Ino, and then next time we'll do the entire bottom row, and then do sort of a wrap-up on who I want to focus on for practicing and maining in Strive. So we'll go ahead and take a look at Ino. For background, she was a boss in, I think, the original, it was either the original or the first iteration of Double X, and then she was a playable character later, and she's a pretty key antagonist type character in the story itself. And her design is pretty interesting. She actually got a bit more of a subtle design in this particular game. In the older Guilty Gear games, she had the similar sort of rocker outfit with the red coat, but in the older games she didn't have anything on underneath her red coat on top. She was essentially topless, and one of her win poses she just pulls it right off, because why not? But I like her redesigned outfit. It's pretty cool, and it's in line with her original design. And if I remember from what I read, Ino's design and some of her design elements are a reference to the pretty well-known Japanese singer Shina Ringo, and she's a sort of eclectic multi-genre artist who's been around forever. I think from what I read, the mole on Ino's face is a direct reference to that particular singer, which is kind of interesting. But looking at the range ratings here, close range is an A, mid and far range is B. So it looks like she is a rushdown close range character. And I just noticed the tab on the right side of the little overview there. Rushdown, Zato's technical, Mei would be balance. I guess that makes sense. Kind of mix of optimal ranges. Same with Kai. Same with Soul. Chip's high speed, so mobility. Same with Milia. And Nago's one shot. I guess by one shot they mean really heavy single attacks. I will continue to beat up on Kai. Hard Rock Witch. Alright, looking at Ino, she's got a pretty functional ground speed. I like this sort of swagger animation that she's got when she's walking, and she's got a electric guitar. She does have a dash, a back dash. Her forward dash is a little different from the other ones in that it goes at an upward angle, but it's not an air dash. On the ground, her dash goes upwards at a forward angle, and her air dash goes downwards, which is kind of unique. And she does have a double jump. Looking at her normals, standing punch is a poke, literally a poke with a finger. Forward punch is a smack with guitar, and it moves her forward a little bit. Kick, side kick, looks like it hits high or hits mid. No command, normal for her kicks. Slash is this sort of sound burst from the guitar. Pretty decent range too. Comes out relatively fast. Doesn't look like there's a command normal for slash input. Heavy slash. Sort of. I'm going to assume this is an overhead. Big chop with the guitar. The burst. Comes out decently fast and will push her back on hit too. Forward heavy slash is mic stand hit. Slower startup, but pretty decent range in front of her. Not half screen range, but decently close. Now I bet that hits all the way even above. I bet you can use that as an anti-air. I think that's it for command normals. Let's see. Yeah, here's the guitar smack. Oh, she technically only has 2. Yeah. Punch, heavy slash. 2-hit attack with fast start up. Second strike stretches further, so bigger range. Doesn't say it's an anti-air. And upper body invincibility on the guitar smack. Specials, antidepressant scale, quarter circle back punch. Projectile, forward moving projectile. By inputting up or down directional button, you can change the projectile trajectory, allowing you to home it in on the opponent. Okay, that's interesting. It's a guidable projectile. Yep. That's upwards when it comes out. Oh, you could just straight up control where it goes. And you can use it in the air. So that could be used to cover unsafe angles when it comes to where the enemy's coming from. If they're jumping in, you want to use it anti-air. That works. If you want to use it to try and catch them low when you come in for a jump in or an overhead, looks like you can do that too. Chemical Love, quarter circle back A, or quarter circle back kick. Projectile strike that strikes forward. Long reach makes it good poke at mid range, but can be low profiled. Okay. Stroke the big tree. Oh, another thing about Ino. Pretty much all of her lines in game and a good amount of her attacks or skills are innuendos. Like she tends to say really suggestive and spicy things in game. And from what I saw, maybe we can check this out next time on stream. In the English dub, they gave her some pretty equally spicy things for her lines in English, which is pretty funny. Quarter circle forward slash or heavy slash. This is a lunging low attack that hits upwards. And it looks like the reach varies depending on the input strength of the button. Okay. Sultry performance. Quarter circle forward kick, slash, or heavy slash in mid-air. It's a diving attack. Pressing the button at the moment on hit or block will change the trajectory of Ino to leap forward. So you can change where she lands depending on what button you hit after the attack connects. That's what that looks like. Alright, so Chemical Love. Oh, I remember that one. It hits on either side of her. Pretty good range. Comes out quickly, but can be ducked relatively easily. Can be used in the air too. Okay. This is Stroke the Big Tree. It looks like they gave her this sort of equalizer pattern on a bunch of her attacks, which is really cool. I don't think she had that in the old ones. But the regular slash version goes about half screen. The heavy slash one goes a bit further, but it's slower. And then Sultry Performance. Okay, that can be used in the air. And it can be charged too. A couple seconds, or a second and a half maybe. Is it only air? Yeah. Only in mid-air. I'm not seeing how it changes the trajectory though. Oh, I see. The actual input itself, it's not on hit, it's input. So the kick version is pretty shallow angle, comes in right in front of her. The slash version's a bit more broad of an angle and will reach further. And then the heavy slash one just go laterally, horizontally, Psycho Crusher style. Okay. Looks like her options in the air are pretty varied. You can shut people down that are in the air with you. You can use projectiles to sort of lock down from the air. Kind of reminds me of Philia from Skullgirls in that regard. Obviously, Ino came first, but the amount of projectile and air control are similar. Alright. Alright, Overdrives. Megalomania, which is not an Undertale reference. This was her boss attack from the older games when she was the story boss. Quarter circle back, forward, heavy slash. Extremely damaging command grab, although it can't be blocked. It will whiff unless you're close. So, close range command grab. And once it grabs, it's a massive projectile burst. It's pretty high damage too. Yeah, almost 50% without the screen burst. And the other one, Ultimate Fortissimo. Powerful projectile attack in the air. Can be done on the ground or in the air itself. Quarter circle back, forward slash. Alright. Looks like the initial attack gets them up into the air, and then the actual rest of the attack is a burst that knocks them all the way across the screen. Come on. Pretty decent damage. Comes out relatively quick too. Probably a bit less of a gamble compared to Megalomania, just because you don't have to worry about being within throw range. Alright. That is Ino in a nutshell. She's pretty fun too. She's not super complex, but she's got a lot of neat tools. I would say I could pick her up as a potential main and have a lot less of a learning curve compared to learning Zato 1. I'll have to think about it. I like her different projectiles. I do like how she has a slightly different type of dash that changes her altitude. And she has a bunch of tools in the air to mix up the opponent. So that'll be something to think about. What I'll probably do on the next stream, depending on how long it takes, once we go through the rest of the Strive cast and get a sort of feel for how they work, I'll probably try and narrow it down to 1 or 2 characters, a main and a secondary. And then based on how that turns out, I will start practicing and figuring out how I want to drill with the characters and see. We'll probably start with AI matches, because if I go online right now, I'm going to get turned inside out by everybody that has been playing this game a while. But maybe we could do something like AI matches to practice and sort of see. Ultimately, I am going to go online, and even though it's going to be rough, the best way to get better at fighting games is to go out and play against real people. The AI and the computer opponents are a really good way to start, especially when you're learning. But when it comes to dealing with unpredictable situations, fighting against human opponents is a lot more beneficial to me. You just have to be prepared for pain when you're learning. We'll go back to the character select screen and we will get ready to wrap up for the day. Of the new characters, I think the only new one to the series we've seen is Nago so far. I think Ino was in Exard. I think she was one of the later characters introduced. But for series staples, so far Nago is the only new one we've seen. And I do like Nago. He's interesting. He plays differently from a lot of the speedier characters. A lot more deliberate and heavy hitting attacks. And his blood gauge mechanic is pretty interesting too. And I really do like his design. His design is sweet. As a sort of preview for who we're going to be demoing next time, Anji Mito hasn't been in Guilty Gear since Double X. He was not present in Exard. I don't think. He was one of the ones that people kept expecting for DLC. But he's back in this one. He uses fans. I don't know too much about how he plays, so we'll have to take a look. Leo Whitefang was introduced in Exard. This guy is a pretty nutty mix of mobility and kind of cross-up type attacks. I believe fighting game at aficionado and well-known fighting game community content creator Maximilian Dude, I think he mains Leo. At least he did in Exard, I believe. But this character is interesting. I've seen some really nutty setups with his particular skill set. Faust, another series staple, going way back to the older games. His canon lore in the series is quite interesting. This guy is kind of like the Voldo of Guilty Gear. He's got a very irregular moveset, and he has a lot of setups that involve confusing the opponent, and he's also got some really nutty setups. Really, everybody in the game does to some extent. But Faust is pretty neat. I played around with him a bit in the older games. He's a giant doctor wielding a massive scalpel. Axel Low, another series staple. He uses twin chain sickles. Long range, I guess you should be sort of paying attention to the archetypes they've got here. Faust is unique. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Axel is sort of a long-range zoner type character. He's got some good tools up close, but from what I remember, he excels at a distance, and he's got a lot of lockdown type abilities. And I think they gave him a time manipulation mechanic in this one. I guess we'll see. Next up, Potemkin, the quote-unquote tank and heavy unit for Guilty Gear. Moving Fortress is pretty accurate. He's probably the physically biggest character, power grappler. This guy is one of the classic archetypes for grappler characters in a fighting game. He excels in a lot of close range, counter and grabbing type moves. I haven't really played Potemkin a whole lot since the older games, but if you like slower, harder hitting, but grappler based characters, he's one of the best examples of that type of fighting game character archetype. He's got a cool design too. Ramlethal Valentine, newcomer from Exard, mid-range brigadier, shooting. She, from what I've seen, is a mix of close and mid-range. Her strong suit looks like mid-range. She has these two swords that sort of fly around and fight with her, and she can do a lot of interesting setups that involve using those swords as mid-range and longer range attacks. And she kind of excels at pushing people around and keeping them at controlled distances. I do know that Ramlethal is one of the most popular characters, especially in this iteration. I think in the beta, her play numbers were probably among the highest of all the available characters. I'll have to tinker around with her toolset. I didn't really play with her much in Exard, but the stuff I've seen in both games with this character looks pretty insane. And then last of the base roster for Strive, we have Giovanna. This is a new character to the series. I don't remember her in the canon lore, but she is a close-range, rush-down, aggressive type character. Kind of similar to someone like Chip. A lot of her moveset, from what I've seen, involves closing distance, getting close, and then just beating the living stuffing out of everyone with her chains of combos. She has this sort of wolf spirit thing that also attacks with her. And her design and effects on her animations are really cool. A lot of people gravitated towards Giovanna when they started playing around with the beta in Strive. As far as I know, she's relatively popular. So we'll definitely take a look. I haven't talked about it here on the channel so far when it comes to fighting games, but historically I tend to gravitate towards rushdown and close range brawler type characters. In a lot of the older fighting games that I've played, that tends to be the type I gravitate towards the most, which is why playing someone like Zato would be a fairly big departure since I'm not too good at summon and puppet characters. I think based on what I know about the existing cast, if I were just to go based on my preferences, I'd probably pick someone like either Chip or Giovanna for a starting main. But since we're going to be learning Strive here on the channel, I'm open to getting outside my comfort zone, even if it means I'm going to get smoked really hard when I try to play against real people. So right now I'm considering Zato and Ino. We'll see after the next session. I believe, according to the schedule, the next gaming stream is going to be a couple days from now, and we're going to jump right back into Guilty Gear and pick up where we left off to demo the bottom row of the cast and start coming up with a game plan for getting good at the game. So I think that will do it for this particular stream. This was really more of a chance to intro Strive, explain some of the base gameplay mechanics, and get a first look at the cast and characters that are part of the launch roster for the game. Overall, it's pretty interesting. This is going to be a challenging one to learn. Guilty Gear is not the most beginner-friendly series, but I think they've probably streamlined a lot And maybe what we can do once I figure out who I want to main is we can go through the tutorial to get an overview of a lot of the mechanics and to sort of give people who may be completely new to fighting games some background as far as how things work. Well, we'll see. I'm planning on doing a lot more work with this one in the future. I've been looking forward to the release for a while. But that being said, we will wrap up. I'd like to once again thank all the folks that stopped by and hung out on the stream today. Hopefully this was an interesting first look at a relatively current fighting game. Well, that being said, I will catch you guys in the next stream, and have a good evening.